thrilled that you can join us today for this webinar. I'm just going to give it a few seconds for people to filter through and take their digital seats, and then we will get going with No Sheet Sherlock, a case study on automating multi-entity month end. Been really looking forward to this, and yeah, very excited to get into this exciting subject over the course of the next half hour. All right, well, look, amazing. What I'll do is I'll just get started with some intros, and then we'll get into the crux of the subject. So I'll go first. My name's David Tuck. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Mayday. I'm an accountant by training. Trained in practice, was then a serial startup and SME. Finance leader. I've been an accounting tech entrepreneur for the last decade now. Previously founded Chaser, the accounts receivable software. And then for the last 3 years, have been building Mayday on our mission to mend month end with my co-founder Griff and our amazing team. I'm very excited to hand over to Sonia from G-Accon.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Sonia. I'm the Client Success Director with G-Accon. So I'm based out of Austin, Texas. I'm a Michigan State alumni, so I go green. We have been, just looking to streamline your accounting processes. I use G-Accon just about every day. Really excited to show you guys what we can do in addition to Mayday.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sonia. And Alex, over to you.
Hello, thank you so much for the invitation, both David and Sonia. As you can see from my name, I'm Alex, finance manager at Arbolus. We're a multi-entity Series A startup, not so much a startup anymore, but yeah, we call ourselves a startup with around 150 people. In terms of my background, I worked in a purely accounting role in a big law firm before working at Arbolus, and that was a bit, not that exciting. And then I moved into accounting in the startup world, and I joined Arbolus around 4 years ago, when there were 5 people in the company and no finance team. So it's been a very exciting project to be part of. And yeah, really excited to be sharing about my experience with Xero and its ecosystem, and Mayday and G-Accon, and how that works for us in our team.
Amazing. And Alex, yeah, we are so thrilled to be joined by you today. And Arbolus were, in fact, Mayday's first ever customer a couple of years ago. So we've been working with Alex, Harriet, and the team for a long time. And Alex, just confirm with me. So you're 4 entities as a group in Spain, the UK, US, and India.
So yeah, we're 4 entities, the UK being the parent company, and then India, US, Spain subsidiaries. So yeah, global company.
Amazing. And how many in the finance team as of today?
We are 6 now. We just hire a new person just this Monday. So we are 6 in the team. So it's growing. Very exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're so thrilled to be able to benefit from your insights. So you were the first finance team member, and you've seen kind of your month-end processes scale over those last 4 years. So look, we're so excited to get into this session today. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into the discussion now with Alex to understand, the kind of the multi-entity month-end challenges at Arbolus, and how they have. How they were tackling them before, how they are tackling them with G-Accon and Mayday. And then both Sonia and I will do brief demos of our respective products. And then there'll be time for a Q&A at the end. So any questions that come to you, please do pop them through in the Q&A section. And, as relevant, we'll either pick them up as we go, or we'll pick them up in that Q&A section at the end. So let's get into it. Alex, I'd love to hear, when we talk about the challenges of multi-entity month end, what stands out for you at Arbolus when it came to your old processes? What were the key culprits there?
Yeah, so I mean, the main challenges are obviously that you're dealing with 4 different companies. So I mean, that's long. And then it was very manual. We had to like use a lot of Excel to run calculations, such as like fixed assets, depreciation, balance sheet recs, even like flux analysis, um, and those things. So that meant that we also like had to like download all the data and put it in an Excel and run the calculations ourselves, which led to mistakes, and it was like very long process. Um, so I think mainly it's like the manual part of it. And also like the intercompany transactions and like how you deal with like FX and recharges. It could be quite complex. So as we were growing, we had, I mean, we were trying different sets of recharges or rules in terms of like intercompany and how we deal with those intercompany transactions. So you are testing out different ways and things that work for you and the company. So as you do that, you also have to make a lot of adjustments. So that meant that I was like very manual in general and took a long time. And it can lead to many mistakes as well.
Got it. And so you're an expert network as a business, and I know sort of you sell credits, right? So revenue recognition can be a key challenge for you. I'm really interested when you talk about those downloading the reports and the spreadsheets. Which were the most dreaded spreadsheets as part of month end?
I mean, I'll say all the sheets that you have to like maintain, such as like balance sheets, um, reconciliations. I will say the longer, like the most intense one was the intercompany FX adjustments. So you have to like add all the intercompany accounts and make them balance. And then also you have to like input there the FX rates that you want to use and then make the calculations yourself and then go back to Xero and post the manual journals yourself. And then on top of that, is there any changes? You also have to do that process like all over again. Same with like all of them, even like depreciation calculations that you're running on Excel. If there are any changes, you also like have to re-download and re-upload the data constantly. And then if you have one entity, maybe it's fine. But then as you grow and you have like more entities, you have to do that like 4 times. And in our case, so yeah, I mean, we thought there have to be somewhere that, this have to be easier. So yeah.
Amazing. And so talk me through, from a G-Accon perspective, what was well, first off, when did you start using G-Accon at Arbolus?
So I think we started actually using G-Accon right the same time we started with Mayday, maybe like 2 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, and then when we started using G-Accon, it was kind of like a eye-opening because we could get all our data in G Sheets. And then wow, that data was available, like you just hit refresh and you get any report that you want. And then we actually like implemented that across all our processes, not even only like month end, but also like any sort of analysis that we do with use G-Accon at the moment. Yeah, the report that we most use is like account transactions. I mean, I love it. You can get like any account and you can get like historic transactions. Yeah, so we like use it for like balance sheet. We also like use it yeah, for as I said, depreciation, flux analysis. Oh my god, flux analysis was awful before. You have to like download and re-download data again and again. And now we just have like a set of Excel that we just like hit refresh and it just brings us the data and we just provide commentaries. So yeah, life changing.
And was there a particular event or need that triggered you to go out and look for what became finding G-Accon?
I'll say it's just like as you grow, you have more transactions. So I mean, the process become more complex. You have more companies. I think I would just say like it's just like how time consuming it was before. I think we close a month like in like 15, maybe even sometimes like 20 days, and now we are like at 10. So yeah, I think it was just like there have to be something. And actually, at that point, our financial controller joined Harriet. So she was like, she used G-Accon before, so she brought in the knowledge of like, I have used this before, let's make our process better. So Harriet was the one who actually suggested bringing G-Accon into like or stack of softwares.
Amazing. So sort of new team member, new regime, new stack to go with it. I'm fascinated. I mean, I'm keen to circle back to the sort of the 15, 20 days down to 10 and your kind of month end process today and timeframes. But I'll come back to that. Yeah, I'll come back to that shortly. And then onto the Mayday side of things. I know that coincided with Harriet joining as well. But again, you talked about the intercompany balances and the FX on that. I'd be really, I'd love you to share with the audience about your intercompany recharges. What they entail with your transfer pricing policy, and what that process looked like before Mayday.
Yeah, okay, so I can start before Mayday. Before Mayday, I mean, we were kind of like discovering like how we wanted like to which rules are we were gonna apply, because I mean, it's very complex and subjective, I'll say. So we now landed to like a process where we just recharge all of our operating expenses at a percentage. So depends on the jurisdiction, it's different. So like in Spain and the US is 5% on top of like the total operating expenses of that month. In India is 15% just because it's by law. So we decided to recharge everything at the same percentage, but before we were testing out with different percentages and different accounts. Um, so that at that point we started using Mayday, and that turned out like it was very supportive for us because we were changing rules. So if you are changing rules, having a software that automates it, it's way faster instead of like you doing it in an Excel and like calculating yourself the recharges every month. So basically we set up all the rules in Mayday, and then now we just post the invoices in the entities. So the subsidiaries send an invoice to a parent company at the month end, and then that's how we do intercompany recharges. In terms of FX, as I mentioned, we used to maintain a whole huge sheet of the different accounts between the companies, and then calculate the FX adjustment, and then we post the journal on Xero. But now Mayday basically calculates for us the FX adjustment that we need, and also post the journal on Xero. So you actually just need to like hit click, and also uses the FX that you want. So you can like provide the FX rate that you want to use. So that's quite useful. And then we also use Mayday for BROAC, so in intercompany transactions. So I mean, this is very easy because it's like an add-on that you can add on Xero, and then it's basically when an entity pays an invoice or a bill for like a subsidiary, and you need to like mark it as an intercompany transaction. So we used to forget, and you have to do it like in both entities, but now you can reconcile it with the add-on from Mayday, so it's quite easy.
Amazing. And I remember vividly your kind of intercompany balance spreadsheets, because you were kind enough to share them with us, and then form the more raw material when we were developing our balancer product, which I'm excited to briefly demo later. And I wanted to pick up a point that you made earlier, Alex, which I think is such an underrated one around, if the data changed, we had to do the process all over again. Perhaps if you could expand on that and maybe share some examples from previously about places where that used to be particularly painful for you?
Yeah, I mean, I will say about the flux analysis, it's a good example because we had our sheet with all the management accounts that we downloaded from Xero for each of the entities and put it in this sheet to provide commentaries on the increases or decreases in the accounts. So whenever we had to like change an account, or like let's say we commit a mistake, because that's how you catch mistakes. We and then, for example, I said like we have to move this certain item to a different account. We then have to download the data and re-upload it into the Excel. So yeah, that's a long time. So we had to do that every time when there was a change, or even if like we miss an invoice, we miss a bill, and we just realize doing the flux analysis, then we have to like do the whole process over and over again of download it and re-uploading. So yeah, now we just have like G-Accon set up in like the same spreadsheet, and we just hit refresh and it just like comes to you. So we like, yeah, if there's any change, yeah, we just get the data in our G sheets. So that's great, I think. Yeah.
Amazing. That's fantastic. And I think, just sort of, I guess, close off this section of the webinar, and then Sonia and I will do our brief demos, and then we've got time for questions at the end. If you could summarize, Alex, like what benefits have you seen from using G-Accon and Mayday for your multi-entity month end?
So obviously month end became more efficient. We now close the month in less time. But also like we can trust as a team that like the information is correct, because as you like make a lot of manual adjustments, you're obviously always considering like, oh, maybe there's a mistake, or like maybe I didn't do this right. But we kind of like now rely in both G-Accon and Mayday to like give us the right data, and we like the least amount of manual adjustments that you make, you obviously trust more than the information is correct, because you're not doing constant manipulations. So I mean, benefits, cost savings, cut the month end. We're also like able to report back to the founders and like key stakeholders like faster, which also like it's added value to us, because it's just like the looks, right? Also like the feel, but we're more efficient as a finance team, which is great.
Amazing. And such a huge achievement to go from the sort of 15 to 20 down to the 10 you worked to today. Alex, thank you so much for sharing that. I know we'll come back to you kind of shortly as part of the Q&A. Sonia, I'll hand over to you now to do the demo of G-Accon, and then I'll pick up when it comes to Mayday.
Sure thing. Sounds good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your insight there, Alex. I mean, I can only imagine manually pulling over data from Xero over and over again. The process gets super tedious, and obviously there is room for that human error, and in addition to all of that manual labor. So we definitely tried to make things nice and streamlined for you guys with G-Accon for Xero. So you can see here, you can not only run reports on a entity by entity basis, something like the balance sheet you see behind me right over here, whether that be for presentation purposes or just sharing with the team internally. But we also do allow for multi-entity reporting with those intercompany eliminations. So for time's sake here, I'm not going to go ahead and get into setting up those eliminations, but I'm going to show you how to run those consolidated reports with those eliminations. And then not only that, how to automate anything and everything that you might create with G-Accon. So you are getting those reports on that updated basis, refresh data for you as often as you may need it. So as you can see here, it is showing me my current connected companies. I've got 2 connected companies at the moment. It's going to ask you which ones you'd like to use in your reports. And then you can see we got our balance sheets, cash summaries, and income statements, all with the categorization by organization if you'd like, and then including those intercompany eliminations. So just going ahead and running a balance sheet. This intercompany elimination set is allowing you to basically take a dive into the line items of each entity and make sure you're not double counting anything. Make sure, there's no lines that are crossing over one another between entities, so you're getting the most accurate set of reporting that you can. Walking through all the different parameters at the top, it's just going to ask you, what cash basis you're using, how many periods you'd like to compare with, so on and so forth. And then you see those different elimination sets. So as you can see here, I got already like 4 set up between my 2 different companies, completely dependent on the use case there for you. If I just go ahead and hit my intercompany elimination set 2, it is going to ask me how I would like it included or excluded from the report. So great versatility there, depending on who, again, you might be reporting to and what you're looking to gain from this report itself. I'm going to go ahead and exclude those eliminated transactions in a separate column. We got our formatting based settings here. And then as always, our multi-currency converter. If you are working with various currencies, we absolutely do support that. All being said, going to go ahead and hit execute on this report for us. And then, yeah, like Alex was saying, I think it's not only just the customization factor of how you can set up these reports, but the automating of it all and knowing that your data is coming to you accurate, knowing that your data is coming to you on that consistent basis. As you can see here, we've got our consolidated balance sheet split out by organization with those intercompany eliminations included or excluded from the report to your liking. So yeah, last thing I want to show you, once you run any report, and this goes for any report and every report, whether it be multi-entity or consolidated in G-Accon, you can absolutely automate that data. I know a big note on this as well was being able to share the data with Xero users on your team that may not have direct access to Xero. So that is another big thing that we hear often. So if you do have those members on your team that don't quite have access, this is a great way to get that updated data out to the people that need it in a reliable and consistent manner. So, all right, just going to walk us through a very quick workflow here, and then I will hand off to David. All righty, so we'll call this Mayday workflow. And so just setting up your workflow, you can see here's your scheduler at the bottom. In something like a month-end process, you could absolutely go ahead and just even hit last day of every month around, 6 a.m. And then you want to go ahead and pull on over your different sheets that you would like included. So that balance sheet elimination, for example, is that report that we just ran together. We'll pull that guy over for this month-end consistent refresh. You've got your sharing option where you can share with whoever you'd like to, whether they be on your team or external. We have alerts on the data itself here. So you can set alerts on specific sets of data you want to keep your eye on as they update throughout time, particularly handy for those, real KPI moments. We got webhooks. These are a little intensive. I won't get into them in too much detail here, but utilizing Google Apps Scripts, really versatile feature as well. And then we provide backups so you can get a really nice, good historical glance at your data as it has updated throughout time, all from your Google Sheets. So all being said and done, I'm just creating this workflow for us. We have got our consolidated balance sheet across multiple entities with our custom eliminations being automated now on that monthly basis. So that's just a peek at what G-Accon can do. I hope that was a helpful little overview. I will hand off back to David.
Amazing. Thanks, Sonia. Well, look, let me share my screen. Hopefully that's coming through okay. So yeah, welcome to Mayday, and I'm going to talk through Mayday, from the perspective of what Alex kind of shared before. So we got 3 pain points that we addressed. The first is intercompany balance sheet rec. So Alex talked through the spreadsheet of exporting the account transactions for each of the intercompany codes and then matching them up to check whether the balance is aligned and then posting any FX adjustment manually off the back of that. Now, it can be a case of mapping the relevant GL codes in each entity for that intercompany balance And then either in this list view or matrix view at a particular date, Mayday is tracking whether or not the balances align. If we do, we get a nice reassuring green background that all of our work is done. If not, we're flagging there's a discrepancy. What's the first thing we do today? Well, it's what Alex and the team at Arbolus had to do previously, dump those transactions into a spreadsheet and match them up. Now, we don't have to do that anymore because of the magic of Balancer's intelligent transaction matching up the transactions so that we can immediately see any one-sided posting as the root cause of our intercompany discrepancy. Because we've all been there, right? We've all had the situations where we have 1,000 transactions in one intercompany code, 999 in the other. We have to match up the 999 to find the one. No more needle in the haystack because Balancer does that for us. Then, where we do have different base currencies involved, we're always going to have a discrepancy, so we can one-click post the FX adjustment. Sometimes we need to charge interest on those intercompany balances, so we can set that in Mayday and then one-click post the relevant interest back into each entity simultaneously. That's Balancer. That is the new and improved feature of intercompany balance sheet recs. Then let's talk intercompany recharges. So Alex ran through the process previously of export the transactions from Xero, calculate what the recharges should be, and then go and manually post the relevant invoices and bills into each entity. Now, it's going to be a 5-minute process each month because we've got recharge rules for all of those different recharge situations. So think Xero's bank rules applied to our intercompany charges, pointing them at particular transactions in Xero, using any combination of these conditions to match it to the relevant ones, choosing how those transactions should be recharged, for example, splitting these software subscriptions by headcount, doing that for all of our different recharge situations across our different entities, so that each month, because we've created those rules once as part of setup, we maintain them for any changes so that now we can choose the period we want to run our recharges for. Most of our customers, like Alex and Arbolus, do this monthly as part of month end, but you can do it as frequently as daily, weekly, 445 reporting, whatever's relevant for you. You'll then get this. So think of this as like a multiplayer sales tax return for your intercompany charges. We pulled through the transactions from each of the Xero organizations, applied the relevant rules in line with the conditions you set. Alex and the team then need to just run down this list each month, make sure they're happy with how the different transactions are being treated. They're all deep linked out in Xero if anyone needs any more information. I'm sorry, we've got some drilling going on in the background of all the days to choose to put up a new fence my next door neighbours have chosen today, but we will press on because month end is that important. Any outlier transactions we've got will override here. We can then jump through, and then we've got all of our different entity-to-entity recharges. We choose how they want them posted, and then one-click post simultaneously back into Xero. So now that day's worth of manual work becomes a 5-10 minute tick box task. Finally, and Alex talked about this, where we've got those pesky bank feed items in one entity that relate to another. So that might be like here where one entity has paid the bill on behalf of another, might be a company card that's registered to one entity that's used to pay for something, travel, a meal on behalf of another entity. Whatever it is, the pain is the same today of what do I need to do? I need to switch between Xero files to find the bill in Mayday Inc. that Mayday HQ has paid. I need to create it if it doesn't already exist, mark it as paid to the relevant company, come back into the entity with the bank feed item and reconcile it off to the corresponding intercompany. So much manual pain, so easy to end up with a one-sided posting to the relevant intercompany code. Worst case scenario, that bill gets paid twice because Mayday Inc. doesn't realize it's been paid by Mayday HQ. All of that is now a thing of the past, thanks to BRAG, which is Bank Reconciliation Across the Group, which gives you this Mayday tab, which quite simply is the match and create functions of the regular Xero bank rec on a multi-entity basis. So I can now match that bank feed item to the relevant bill or bills in the other entities in the group, or create it if it doesn't yet exist, so that when I press continue, because I've mapped the intercompany codes in Mayday on setup, we'll mark that bill as paid to the relevant intercompany code, we'll populate in Mayday HQ with the relevant intercompany code and narrative information. So all in a single click, all without switching between Xero files. I've got cross-entity bank rec. So that is Mayday, and that's how we help multi-entity month end. And we'll dive into the Q&A. So first off, we've got a question about G-Accon. So Sonia, how can I share consolidated reports with my team and clients? will G-Accon help me with that? And if so, how?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to take it. So you can absolutely share your consolidated reports with your team and clients, both sides of the coin there. You could use the workflow feature that I kind of just briefly ran through to do that automatically as your reports update. So it's like automatically shooting out an email to whoever you'd like with that updated data as it comes through. Or you could always go ahead and just share to the Google workbook that you are working out of with your teammates or clients, whatever the use by use case might be there. Either way, it's absolutely possible. Yes.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sonia. And another question has come through. So, Alex, how long did it take your team to implement G-Accon and Mayday?
So very fast. G-Accon is actually an add-on on G-Sheet, so doesn't require much of like setting up time, maybe like 30 minutes max if you have to connect the Xero entities. Mayday, I mean, also very easy and fast. Also like a couple of hours if you need to set up your rules. But yeah, a couple of hours. So both are really fast to set up.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's bang on point, Alex. Just to speak from a Mayday perspective, brag and balancer, you're going within sort of seconds and a very small number of minutes. Recharger, because of that sort of process of creating the rules, there can be an hour or two's worth of sort of setup work there the first month, but then you've got those rules to use in an evergreen sense for all future months after that. A couple more questions that have come through. So Douglas has asked, does Mayday only work with Xero, or can you also integrate it to QuickBooks Online? So Douglas, as of today, only available with Xero, but we've had a bunch of requests for integration with QBO. So this is absolutely on our roadmap for the next couple of quarters. And then finally, I've just seen a question come through, which I think will make our final one because I'm conscious of time. Alex, have you provided any feedback to the developers of G-Accon and Mayday? And if so, how responsive have they been?
I think mainly with Mayday, because we have been working quite closely as a team since the beginning. So we have like a constant loop of feedback, I feel, with you guys. So I mean, very good experience working with you, and yeah, very good and responsive, like super fast. When we like write on the chat, and either you or Grief always or like on top of everything. So
Amazing.
yeah, responsive.
Well, look, I think that's everything in terms of questions. So we have a couple of promotions here for attendees of the webinar, which I know will be in the follow-up email as well. So all that remains for me to do today is to say thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found this webinar useful. A massive thank you to Sonia and G-Accon. It's been brilliant to partner together. And above all, a massive thanks to Alex for taking the time to just share your incredible insights from the sort of the trail you've blazed when it comes to month-end innovation. So massive thank you for being so generous with your insights. And that's everything from our side. So thank you very much again for joining us, and have a great rest of the day.